I'm looking for you, Errol. Where you at? I'm in the ocean. You say you the big fish. I'm looking for you. Where your ass at? Oh, whole ass.
Once again, Bud Crawford is calling out Errol Spence. And it's clear to everybody who's not a fanboy in this situation that Errol Spence does not want to fight him. We all seen how Spence reacts when he wants to fight somebody. Bud wants the IBF to make him a mandatory. And I'm here to tell Bud, you cannot make Spence fight you. He clearly does not want that smoke. He's avoiding you. What's going to happen is, if the IBF makes you a mandatory, Spence will drop that belt. And his man fans are saying Spence is still hurt. Spence says the eye is fine. He's ready to go. And another thing I'm hearing is Terence Crawford sounds desperate. Crawford is 34 years old. The time is now. Crawford is at the end of his prime. This is when he's supposed to have his biggest fights. And one of the biggest fights, or the biggest fight at 147, is Errol Spence. Another narrative that I'm hearing is Terence Crawford wants to fight Spence because he's injured. And we know, if we go back in time, Terence Crawford always wanted to fight Spence before the car accident. How things are looking right now, it seems very unlikely this fight will happen. And if I was Bud Crawford, I wouldn't spend too much time on this. Obviously, this guy doesn't want to fight. You can't make him fight you, so move on. Fight a Virgil Ortiz, fight a Jaron Ennis. And the YTBC is funny like this, right? They'll say, why don't Terence Crawford fight a Virgil Ortiz? Why doesn't he fight Jaron Ennis? Okay, once Terence Crawford fights these guys, these young guns, and then he beats them, what are they going to say? Oh, he fought Jaron Ennis when he was too young. He fought Virgil Ortiz. They were still babies. Those two fighters are killers and they're contenders. If Terence Crawford beat those guys, I give him 100% credit. If he doesn't fight Ennis or Ortiz and he doesn't get the Spence fight, what else is there for Terence Crawford at 147? I mean, Ugas still wants to fight Spence next year. So if Ugas wins, he's going to fight Errol Spence. So what is left for Terence Crawford at 147? If he can't get those fights, he doesn't want to retire. So what does he do at 147? Does he move up to 154? Or does he wait for Josh Taylor? I know I don't want to see him get no Jose Cepeda. Now another big debate in boxing is how much did Gervonta Davis did on pay-per-view sales last Sunday? Some sources are saying that Gervonta Davis did under 100,000 pay-per-view buys. And then if you talk to Espinoza of Showtime, he's saying Gervonta Davis did way more than 100,000 pay-per-view buys. And the deciding factor for me is always Rick Glazer, who's been doing this forever. And he says Tank did way below 100,000 pay-per-view buys, closer to 50,000. And he's right. Mayweather was feeling himself too much. You never go against NFL. NFL is number one on Sundays. Pay-per-view fights are for Friday and Saturday, not Sunday. Anyway, now don't get it twisted. I want to see Terence Crawford and Spence go at it. But if Spence doesn't want the fight, why waste your time? What do you think about Terence Crawford? How long should he pursue this Errol Spence fight? And what do you think about Gervonta Davis's pay-per-view sales? You believe it was more than 100,000? Or do you believe what Rich Glazer says? It was under 100,000. I always go with Rick Glazer. Anyway, leave your thoughts and comments below. Jay Beezy, I'm gone.